it up yet? Because we can vote now.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to call to order the Whatcom County Council meeting for October 24th, 2017. Welcome, everyone. And could you please call the roll?
Barbara Brenner,
Here.
Rudd Brown,
Here.
Barry Buchanan,
Here.
Todd Donovan,
Here.
Ken Mann,
Here.
Satpal Sidhu,
Here.
Carl Weimer.
Here. Thank you. Would you please stand and we'll do the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, if you have your cell phones with you tonight, please put them on vibrate or off so we don't hear that. If you're handing out any paperwork to council members, please include a copy to our staff. We will try to turn this page. We'll move right into our public hearings. Members of the public who have signed up at the back of the room prior to the meeting will be called first and asked to form a line behind the signs on either side of the chambers. If you're unable to sign up before the meeting, you will be given an opportunity to speak. We'll make sure you get that chance. Each speaker should state his or her name for the record, and you'll be given 3 minutes to address the council. Council staff will keep track of the time and let you know when you have 30 seconds left, and then they will tell you when your time is up. We will move into our first public hearing. It's a resolution confirming the assessment roll for property within the boundaries of Whatcom County Road Improvement District Number 7, which is the Emerald Lake Lighting District, and remanding roll to the county treasurer for collection. And for this, the council is acting as the Board of Equalization. So is there any report at all that goes with this? Seeing no one standing up, we will go ahead and open the public hearing. We have 3 people signed up for this. The first one is Wendell Poole, then John Sozansky, and then Mike Webb.
Good evening. I'm Wendell Poole. I'm currently board president of the Emerald Lake Property Owners Association. And in terms of the resolution in question, I have surveyed either by phone or email all current board members, and all approve of the slight increase in assessment. And my understanding is that there's been some discussion with Mr. Rydell regarding upgrading the 17 streetlights that are in question on this little project. Anyway, the current board members all support the idea of exchanging out the current bulb system for newer, more efficient LED lights, if that can be worked out within the county organization.
Thank you.
That's my comment. Thank you.
John?
John Sozansky, Emerald Lake, 1868. I was part of the committee that originally helped form the lighting for our area. One of the concerns at the time was that it's a unique area, being so close to Bellingham, but far enough out. People were concerned of losing the night sky, and we went with a low wattage lamp at that time, and we surveyed the community as to where the light should be placed. Given that procedure, things went well. The upgrade, it's been a long time, so it's reasonable. People I've talked to are okay with that, as long as it doesn't become, and that we still keep the low wattage throughout the community. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike?
Thank you. I'm Mike Webb, 1645 Emerald Lake Way.
I've lived there for almost 40 years. I was on the board for about 35 years, president a lot of that time. So I was present when we did the lighting district. Before, we used to have a fewer number of lights. I can't remember, it was under 10, I'm sure. That was paid by a $20 voluntary dues at that time. So we really didn't have enough to keep them going. So we wanted lights for safety and for hopefully less burglaries also. So we turned the lights off and let people live with that for a little while that fall. So in '87 then, we did have the county wonderfully sent out a ballot to everyone. We helped get addresses, so it passed over 60%. So we were delighted. That's how we got our lights. And as Jay has mentioned, we have 17 now placed at intersection corners and one at the bottom of the hill. So if we can't get up the hill when it snows, we have some lights because a lot of us sometimes have to park there. So I'm certainly in favor of keeping this. To go from $7 to $8.50 is pretty minimal after all of this time. I don't think we've ever had an objection about the amount. I did talk to, as was mentioned, Randy Rydell from the Board of Equalization. He said that just the cost of living increase if would taken it up to $15.30. So it's pretty amazing that it's kind of lasted this long. He did say when I asked him, because I was interested in LEDs, I talked to a few of my neighbors and they would be too. Especially as he mentioned, an LED is going to save $5.20 per month. So the cost of putting them in, he had done some figuring, would be about $3,400. Therefore, at that amount of savings, we would save about $855 a year. Therefore, it could pay off in 4 years, theoretically. And I think he sort of had a plan of how it could be that the county could help us out with that $3,400 to get them put in so it wouldn't be any out of our pockets. So for myself, as a long history of this, I would recommend going with the assessment for $850 and looking seriously into coming up with times to make them more efficient for the LEDs. He said at that point then, once it was paid off, it would likely lower our assessed value, which would be pretty nice for all of us. Thank you.
Mr. Brown.
Sorry, sir, sorry, just a question. Are you collecting money for capital cost replacement of the fixtures eventually? Or are you just going to eat that, do a special assessment when that happens?
Are you referring to switching to LEDs?
No, beyond that. I mean, at some point you'll need to replace other parts as well.
I guess I'm not aware of anything like that. But yeah, I was just telling the other gentleman, I'm assuming these lights are going to be a little bit outdated at some point. So if they were switched to LEDs, would that solve that problem of?
Well, the LEDs, your bulbs are a maintenance item.
Right.
But eventually the poles eventually corrode or get damaged or whatever.
That's never been discussed, so I'm not sure what is going to happen at that point in time.
Okay.
I have no idea how that would cost or how that's going to be taken care of in the future.
Yeah, I just suggest most of these utility districts should be collecting money in reserve for the eventual replacement of the underlying equipment.
I'm thinking the only way that we'd be able to collect money would just be through this lighting district. We don't have a way to collect through our membership other than voluntary. So if that needs to be figured into our assessment, I would guess this would be the time to do it. Okay. Any other questions?
No. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else want to speak to the Emerald Lake Lighting District?
Randy Rydell, Whatcom County Public Works. This was mentioned earlier. I just wanted to clarify a little piece here.
This is unusual,
Oh,
having
sorry.
staff testify during a public hearing, so
We will invite you afterwards.
we will let you come up
Sorry.
as soon as we
Yes.
close the public hearing.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. It'll just be a second, actually, so it's a formality. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on the subject from the public? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing, and now you may go ahead.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Randy Rydell, Whatcom County Public Works, and I just wanted to address what was being spoken here about the maintenance of the lights. Currently, these lights are maintained by Puget Sound Energy. The bill that is paid covers the electrical costs as well as the ongoing maintenance of these lights. And so that is why there hasn't been a need for a capital campaign to replace lights that were put in 1987 or 86.
So if someone clips one with a car, who pays to replace the pole, assuming the driver's not available?
You know, I'm not sure about that particular case. If that were to happen, I know that as soon as lights go out, when they do burn out, the residents get to call PSE, who will come by and replace them. It's part of the ongoing cost.
We'll start with Mr. Sadoo.
The way I am familiar with most of the cities, even Ferndale, that they have contract with PSE, and they come and put the lights on, and they maintain it, and they got 20, 30-year contract, and they do everything. And there is an assessment which goes through the city. I just wonder that for $3,400, we've been going through so much paperwork. We do $340,000 in 5 minutes here. So, of course, there's a legal requirement to raise it to this level, but it is something that Public Works can handle it and solve this.
That is true. What Public Works was running into is the prior cap that was set in 1986 on the actual
No,
limit.
we can fix that. What I
Yes,
mean
thank
is,
you, and I
we don't
appreciate
need
that.
to go into deep discussion. You guys replace the lights, put the new ones in,
And
assess
I'll tell
whatever
you-
the right value is, and get going with that.
Our plan is to improve these LEDs as an operating expense and to cover that through future assessments.
That
Mr.
just
Donovan.
answered my question.
Oh, you.
Yeah, thanks.
Anyone else have anything? Nope. Okay, thank you. Okay, what are the wishes of the council?
Move approval.
Second?
Okay, Ms. Brenner.
Well, this is kind of, this whole thing of us making a decision on taxing people has been, for this particular item, has been unusual and unique to me. And I remember asking a number of times, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Oh, it's just a pass-through. You really have nothing to say about it. You just have to do it. But then I looked at this, and the resolution says it's to confirm the assessment as just and equitable after a public hearing. I know nothing about, it sounds like they like it, but no offense, I mean, they may be speaking for everybody or somebody or whatever, but I don't personally know if it's just and equitable, and I don't think that's something that should have been put in our laps to say that. So I'm not comfortable, I'm not going to support it. I'm glad, it probably will pass without me, but there's something about something saying is just and equitable, and we absolutely have no background in this at all. And I just have this funny feeling that there was another way this could be done, but I don't know.
Mr. Donovan.
Well, I'm glad I can help make it pass for you.
You're glad you can.
I'm glad I can help make it pass for you.
Oh, I'm not, yeah.
I appreciate it.
Mr. Weimer.
Well, even though this is probably one of the biggest tax increases I've seen in my 12 years on the county council, I'm going to support it.
Well, not like you haven't supported other ones.
Okay.
It's not about how
Any
much.
more discussion on the motion?
No.
Please call the roll.
Barbara Brenner,
No.
Red Brown,
Yes.
Barry Buchanan,
Yes.
Todd Donovan,
Yes.
Ken Mann,
Yes.
Satpal Sidhu,
Yes.
Carl Weimer.
Yes.
That passes 6-1 with Councilmember Brenner opposed. Okay, our next,
Just one other comment. Can I-
okay.
It's a resolution, so it just seems weird that we are passing a resolution to increase a tax, and a resolution has no force of law. So I'm also, it's almost like the council will take any heat on something, but we don't, the whole thing is kind of convoluted and doesn't make a lot of sense that we would even do this as a resolution. Huh?
And a roll call.
Roll call resolution.
A roll call resolution,
Yeah,
that's true too, that's weird.
Okay, let's move on. I think it's because we're acting as the Board of Equalization is why that is.
But we
Mr.
have a
Sadoo?
Board of Equalization.
As a clarification, I just wanted to, see, the gentleman said that they are voluntarily paying for this since 1987. They just collect among, and they don't have force of law to continue to do that. That's why it has come to us. It's been isn't that the understanding, Mr. Riddle? That they have been voluntarily collecting the money and paying the bill?
No, that's not. No, he
Go
said
ahead.
if they wanted to do this other stuff, they would
Go ahead and
have to.
come forward and
Yes, please, I just wanted.
state your
that's all-
name
that's
again
all
for
I
the record.
understood.
Mike Webb again of 1645 Emerald Lakeway. Before we started the lighting district, it was voluntary, and we couldn't afford it, so that's why we asked the county to send out the ballots. We had over 60% yes, and so now it's actually assessed $7 on each property owner's tax assessment then.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Next item is a resolution confirming the assessment roll for property within the boundaries of Whatcom County Road Improvement District Number 1, which is the Birch Bay Lighting District, and remanding roll to the county treasurer for collection. And again, we will be acting as the Board of Equalization. We'll open the public hearing. We have no one signed up for the Birch Bay Lighting District. Is there anyone here that would like to speak about that? Seeing no one, we will close the public hearing. What's the wishes of the council?
Move approval. Second?
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Please call the roll.
Red Brown,
Yes.
Barry Buchanan,
Yes.
Todd Donovan, Ken Mann,
Yes.
Satpal Sidhu,
Yes,
Carl Weimer,
Yes.
Barbara Brenner,
No.
That passes 6-1 with Councilmember Brenner opposed. The next item is a resolution approving the sale of a portion of surplus real property. Do we have a staff report for that? Maybe? Okay.
We don't really, I mean, it's awful simple. Why would we need a,
If you don't have
No, no
anything new
offense.
to add, I was just giving you the opportunity.
yeah, let's get rid of that.
Okay,
Problem.
so we'll open the public hearing. Does anyone want to talk to us about approving the sale of surplus real property? Come on. You must be Jim. Yes, you did sign up, I'm sorry.
Yeah, my name's Jim Cornelius, and I think you should approve this resolution and also attach a restriction to the property. The main reason I think you should sell this property is that you can't get to it. The only access to the landfill property is from the eastern boundary, Y Road. The property under consideration is the very western portion. Between the two runs Carpenter Creek, with a bank on the east side of about 35 feet, and on the west side between 45 and 55 feet. The span between the two sides is between 170 and 190 feet, so building a bridge would be extremely costly and not worth the expense or environmental damage. However, the property owners who live next to the surplus land on its west and north sides have clear and easy access to the land. The surplus land is nearly level, but then slopes gently to the east and south until it hits the bank above Carpenter Creek. Then it drops dramatically in a 50 to 60% slope. It is forested, half evergreens, half deciduous, with some fir and cedar that I guess are between 80 and 100 years old. I like the trees, and I dread the thought of someone buying the property just to cut it for the timber value. The restriction I hope you attach to the property is to limit tree removal to one area, and that the area can be no more than 1.5 acres, and that no portion of the area can be within 40 feet of the embankment going down to Carpenter Creek. This will protect the embankment from erosion, the water quality to the stream, and at least 2/3 of the forest. Safety. Actual landfill material will not be encountered on this parcel. The only area with introduced material under the soil is a 1.2 acre section between Carpenter Creek and Y Road, an old gravel pit that was filled. When researching the different aspects of the boundary line adjustment, I wrote a letter to Bill Bennett of Bennett Engineering. He does all the safety testings on the site and has so for many years. When I asked what distance from the actual landfill it would be safe to build a home, he replied, and I quote, "I see no issue building west of Carpenter Creek," unquote. The site is safe for habitation. If you sell it to people with access to it, you will get the best price per acre. You will shift the tax burden to others, and with restrictions, you will keep the health of this ecosystem intact. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to, you have a question, Mr.
Sorry.
Brown? Mr. Brown?
Is it you who's interested in buying the property?
Yes.
Okay, because if you bought the property, you're perfectly entitled to put whatever restrictions you want on it.
Okay. Yeah, I was just hoping that the restrictions would be beforehand so that.
That would slow
someone
this
who-
whole process down significantly.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, but you can put whatever you want on it if it's your property.
Yeah.
Within-
if I
Pretty
get
much
it.
Probably
within
not.
reason.
Okay, if I get it, I will. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, anyone else like to speak? Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing. And council?
I'll move approval.
Second,
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion? Seeing none?
Ah. Thank you. I mean, the county's just been sitting on this, and I'm glad you're gonna do something better, way better.
Okay. All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That passes 7-0. Next is a resolution approving the Whatcom County 2018 Annual Construction Program. Joe, do you have anything, any final thoughts for us? Nope, okay. We will open the public hearing.
There's Joe. Hi, Joe.
We have no one signed up for that. Anyone like to speak to us about our annual construction program? Okay, seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. Council,
I'll move approval.
Second.
we have a motion and a second discussion. Mr. Brown.
sorry, I have to do this again. I'd like to remove number 3 Horton Road from the discussion.
Okay. Mr. Brown would like to move number 3 removed.
Which one was number 3? Ow.
One after number 2.
Yeah, I know. Okay, forget it.
Okay. So,
So we're gonna split it and vote?
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
Okay, so the motion is to approve with number 3 removed. Is there any discussion on that? Mr. Mann?
Just for all the folks watching at home, so they know that we've already approved the 6-year plan. We talked about this annual program in committee at length, and now it's coming forward to the council. So just so everyone knows, we've been reviewing and studying this for a while. We're not just doing it on the spur of the moment.
Yeah, and,
Okay,
yeah.
Ms. Brenner?
Nah, he
You
said.
don't have anything? Okay,
Well, we recommended it.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes 7-0. The next one is
Wait,
resolution.
what about number 3?
That's what we're gonna
The
do
one we
right now,
took out.
Mr. Chair.
He was moving ahead, yeah.
Oh, yeah, number 3, you're right. Okay, now we will vote on project number 3. Do I have a motion for that?
I'll move approval.
Yeah.
I
I'll
second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for item 3, discussion. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Abstentions?
Abstention.
6-0 to 1 abstention. Mr. Brown abstains, and that passes. Yes.
I'd like to, do you mind telling us why you abstained?
Yeah, I've got property on the road and I believe
Okay,
it's a conflict. of
that's
interest.
always good to
No, that's
say.
fine. I just always abstain from anything where I think there's a potential for
I understand, but
conflict.
people like to know why.
I've run out of sheets, but I have more agenda items.
Well, just keep going.
Wait, just start calling people?
We'll take care of you.
Tyler, you can testify. So we don't have, okay. Okay, I'll read slow. We have a resolution adopting the 6-year Water Resources Improvement Program for 2018 through 2023. And this time, we are acting as the Whatcom County Flood Control Zone District Board of Supervisors. Any staff report for this? Nothing. We will open the public hearing. I will just go with there's no one on the sheet. The sign-in sheets.
Oh.
No, I got those.
There
Okay,
was.
So there's no one on the sheet. So would somebody like to speak to us about our 6-year water resources improvement program? Okay, seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing.
Move approval?
Okay,
I'll second that.
we have a motion and a second. Discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Barry Buchanan,
Yes.
Todd Donovan,
Yes.
Ken Mann,
Yes.
Satpal Sidhu,
Yes.
Carl Weimer,
Yes.
Barbara Brenner,
Yes.
Red Brown,
Yes.
That passes unanimously. Our last public hearing is an ordinance amending Whatcom County Code, Chapter 10.04, speed limits, to establish the speed limit for a portion of North Shore Road. Do we have anyone present tonight that would, well, first of all, I will open the public hearing. And is there anyone here who would like to speak to that? Seeing no one, we will close the public hearing, and I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move approval.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Discussion.
I just want to thank Joe. What is it, third time is charmed? Yeah.
Seeing no, oh, Mr.
No,
Donovan.
I will just say, I do. I appreciate Joe getting bounced back and forth by this council, trying to come up with an ordinance about this. I actually also appreciate the arguments he was giving us about it being actually safer if we just had it consistent at 35, and I think that's a better way to go. But I'm not super passionate about this, so.
Okay. Seeing no more discussion, please call the roll.
Todd Donovan,
No.
Ken Mann,
Yes.
Satpal Sidhu,
Yes.
Carl Weimer,
Yes.
Barbara Brenner,
Yes.
Red Brown,
Yes.
Barry Buchanan,
Yes. That passes 6-1 with Mr. Donovan opposed. Okay, now we'll go into the open session. During the open session, audience members will have up to 3 minutes to address the council on any issue relevant to county business. Again, before beginning to comment, please state your name and topic of interest. And if your last name is complicated, please spell it so we can get it in our notes. And we will open the open session.
My topic tonight is delusional Christianity in the city of Bellingham. My name is Joseph McDowell, and it is obvious that I have a speech impediment. The reason why I give this speech to county is because the city has a censorship rule which demonstrates they are communistic. Although I think there's good Christians out there, and the fanatics don't represent everybody, I must say, being a Christian, if I thought that what was being promoted as Christian values in this city were true, then I would be an atheist. I believe there is a difference between a Christian that eats with sinners and a Christian that eats them. The so-called Christians in this city are narcissistic in nature and claim to be persecuted when they are the persecutors. I feel sorry for the people who buy into their BS. You will see that the so-called Christians of this city will become more and more delusional as the last days approach them. I believe Jesus doesn't make priests out of people. Jesus makes people out of priests. And your beliefs don't make you a good person, but your behavior does. In the good book, in 1 Corinthians 13:5, it says love is never rude. Some people might say, Jesus lost it chasing the money changers out of his father's temple. I believe that was righteous indignation, and that does not give supposed confessed followers of him a license to be rude to other people. Once again, I must say, I feel sorry for the people who buy into the BS of the so-called Christians of this city, and please don't accept a warped view of the Bible. Thank you, and God bless America while it's still here.
They wouldn't let him say that?
Hi, my name is Christopher Diley. I'm homeless here in Bellingham. This is regarding Whatcom County Humane Society and an incident that occurred on Billy Frank Jr. Street a number of weeks ago. I just looked at the police cam video, And I was bothered that I want to address that when the police responded to the incident, they apprised the situation and then they addressed the people that were involved, referring to myself as a mental case. He did it 5, 6, or 7 times. He referred to me as a mental case, thereby invalidating the position that I was taking, which was trying to alert the people, the residents in the neighborhood, that a truck was being parked there with 2 Dobermans and a pit bull mastiff terrier completely unrestrained. And they were being allowed to do that because Whatcom Humane Society told me that they have a right to do that because that's their private property, that truck. If they want to keep those dogs on there unrestrained, they can do so. They just can't drive anywhere with those dogs unrestrained because that would endanger the welfare of the dogs. My point is that endangers people walking down the sidewalk because those dogs lunged and snapped right at my face as I was walking by. And I thought, what if a child walked by and that happened to them and those dogs jumped out? There's nothing to stop them from jumping out and attacking a child. That was my position. That's a perfectly logical position. It was perfectly logical for me to go there and try to let the residents know of this ongoing situation. Or it was an ongoing, I don't know if it still is. It was perfectly logical for me to do that. I was concerned about public safety because nobody was doing anything. I contacted the property management company, the Humane Society, the police, and the city council. Nobody was going to do anything. I thought, well, me as a citizen, I can alert people, let them know. And a lot of the college students coming down, they said, thank you very much, thank you for letting us know, and they were very kind to me. But for the police to do that, to see that on the video cam, and granted, I was diagnosed with Lyme disease, I've got lesions on my brain and spinal cord that can involve neuropsychiatric manifestations. Professionally speaking, though, I don't have any psychiatric diagnoses, no specific psychiatric diagnoses. So for the police to tell citizens in this community that I'm a mental case, it almost amounts to slander. And it was personally very hurtful. I mean, for me to be categorized as a mental case, you know, granted, it's open to conjecture. I know what I've done in the past year. I hold up signs on political issues, and that's
30 seconds, please.
That's kind of outlandish, you know. So, you know, using sometimes I use self-deprecating humor, you know, because I am a bit, you know, half a bubble off in some respects. But for them to do that and malign the position that I was trying to help and do something for this community, for public safety. And it's still, as far as I know, it's still an ongoing situation, or as far as people being allowed to have their dogs unrestrained, attack dogs unrestrained in their vehicles like that. And just very quickly, that truck bed was completely open. Those Dobermans were completely free in the back of that bed to jump out at any moment. So it is a dangerous issue. Thank you for letting me speak.
Mm-hmm.
Leslie Hunku, President of Whatcom County Farm Bureau, and I wanted to make comment on the exemptions proposed in the Critical Areas Ordinance, exemptions from farm plans. I would like to remind the council that the ag community never asked for any exemptions. The ag community brought forward their concerns about youth club members and what would be required of them if they all had to do a farm plan, and that it might discourage them from participating because a lot of them are not farmers and are just in a part-time opportunity and a part-time project. And so that was our concern. It was council members who brought forth the possibility of having an exemption. And it was staff who was concerned that if you had a 4-H exemption, that people would just say, hey, well, that's my kid's 4-H animal, whether it was true or not. And so then it became a little more complicated that there would be some educational piece required for the 4-H and FFA members and other youth clubs to complete. And then the complication there was that the entities themselves, the school district, the 4-H, did not want to take responsibility for signing off on these kids, saying that their animals were appropriately housed, etc. So that was one complication. The other thing that came up is when staff came back, they proposed 3 additional exemptions that we knew nothing of. Apparently now we understand that they have been in policy in the department, but now they were looking to codify them. We pointed out at that time that a 1 animal unit to 3 acres is not going to exempt very many people at all. The other concern we have is that there's a gap between 1 animal unit per 3 acres and the type 1 classification of 1 animal unit to 1 acre. So in fact, if you had 2 animal units on 3 acres, you would not be exempt from a farm plan, yet you would not be a type 1. We put this information out, and indeed it was met with some emotional response and some misunderstanding. And it was our purpose with a meeting last Thursday to do our best to get the accurate information out. That meeting was attended by 115 or so people. There were a lot of questions, there were a lot of issues addressed, and I think we did put out some fires where people thought that they were just going to have to
30
get rid of
seconds,
their
please.
animals. So I just wanted to catch you up on what the ag community has been doing in regards to the exemptions. I thank you that we have 2 more weeks to work on getting some specifics that will work for hopefully all of us, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. I'm Pam Brady on behalf of BP Cherry Point Refinery, and thank you for the opportunity to make comment tonight. I would like to speak in opposition to an item on the consent agenda to allocate an additional $25,000 to the law firm conducting the study, as per policy 2CC-16 in the comprehensive plan. BP is concerned the county has inappropriately shielded stakeholders and the general public from any meaningful insight as to the process of this study, as all of the work has been conducted out of public view during executive sessions which are privileged and closed to the public. And nothing in 2CC-16 requires this secrecy. On the contrary, the policy encourages publicly sharing legal advice, and specifically it says the county should consider any legal advice freely submitted to the county by legal experts on behalf of a variety of stakeholders and make that advice publicly available. So the county should observe that same standard. To request an additional $25,000 without sufficient justification is concerning, and the public has not yet been adequately informed as to why the initial allocation was not enough to complete the study. So I urge you to reject this request until information is, or more information is made publicly available. Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak during the open session? Okay, we will close the open session. And we are at the consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, the Whatcom County Finance and Administrative Services Committee met today. We considered items 1 through 3. These all received unanimous approval, and I so move.
Okay. Ms. Brenner?
I would like to remove numbers 2 and 3.
If we do that, we'll just consider them all individually.
You're allowed to
That's
do
where we're
it.
at now.
That's what we're going to do.
I'll second your request because I always,
Okay.
I'm always open to more openness in the discussion in any of these.
Okay, we'll start with number 1. Go ahead.
No,
Number
we
1 was request authorization for the county executive to enter into a grant agreement between Whatcom County and Washington State Military Department to sustain and enhance the Whatcom County Sheriff's Office Division of Emergency Management Program in the amount of $72,508. This received unanimous approval, and I so move.
Okay, discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0.
Mr. Chair, the next item was request authorization for the county executive to enter into a contract amendment between Whatcom County and Resources to implement a countywide waste reduction and recycling education program for youth at the elementary, middle, and high school levels in the amount of $50,000 for a total amended contract amount of $170,000. This received unanimous approval, and I so move.
Okay, that motion is before us. Discussion, Ms. Brenner.
Well, I'm not going to support it because I feel there comes a point, I did bring this up last time this was up and went ahead and supported it, but I'm not going to do it anymore. There is a point when an organization becomes very political and very antagonistic, and I don't think at that point that the ethical duty of the council should not be to give contracts. Now, I keep hearing, well, they're the only ones who can do it, But I think if we put together a package of what we wanted done and put it out for an RFP and help, other organizations, actually, they could have created a different organization and done it through a different organization. I was going through a lot of the stuff I've received from resources, and I mean, there's flagrant comments in there that they want to stop fossil fuel, which I don't, and I don't think that's appropriate, but that they named by name certain organizations that they wanted people to rise up against, and I just feel like you can't have it both ways. I don't believe we've ever done a contract with another organization, agency, entity, anything that had a very political and, in my mind, antagonistic side to it that has very much polarized the community. I am not saying that what they do in education, there's anything wrong with it. From everything I read about it, it's a very good program. It's just you can't have both. And I've been uncomfortable for the last several years because of it, but the rhetoric has actually risen, and I just don't think it's right for us to be giving money to an organization that has become that political and that polarizing. So, and by the way, there are people at Resources I happen to like a whole lot, and I like talking to them and working with them, but I think that, they've crossed a line, so I can't support it.
Okay, further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
That passes 6-1, with Councilmember Brenner opposed.
Mr. Chair, the next item is request authorization for the county executive to enter into contract amendment between Whatcom County and Cascadia Law Group, PLLC, to conduct and study and make recommendations required by Whatcom County Comprehensive Plan Policy 2CC-16 in the amount of $25,000 for a total amended contract amount of $65,000. This received unanimous approval, and I so move.
Okay, and we are dealing with the blue copy.
I left mine in my office. Can I?
Okay.
What's changed on the blue coffee? Karen? Yeah.
The third portion of the amendment was removed that extended the term of the agreement.
Oh, okay, yeah, right. Yep, yeah. Okay.
Okay, so we have that motion in front of us. Discussion? Ms. Brenner?
Well, this is another time. I didn't support this contract. I am impressed with the attorney, with his knowledge. I think he's a very good attorney and very knowledgeable. But I believe I know where this is headed and why, and I don't think it's proper, and I don't think we shouldn't have done the contract in the first place, and we especially should not be, doing an amendment to it for more money. So I'm not going to support it. But I'm sure he'd be a really interesting person to talk to off the record on some things, but not this.
Mr. Donovan?
Yeah, I'll speak in favor of the motion. We're under budget, whatever our original budget was, so we're adding on to an expected expense that's still far under what was originally expected. But I do appreciate Pam's comments about the appearance of all this being done in executive session, and the awkward situation with a study is it's a study to figure out what our legal scope of action can be, and to have that happen out here to start with would be inappropriate. So we will be having public hearings about this. The stuff will be public, but I just want to stress the fact that it is coming in under budget.
Mr. Sadoo?
I want to second what, excuse me, I want to second what Mr. Donovan has said, and I'll speak for myself. I think there were several areas which I was not clear about, and we knew that, and it's been on the record that when we talk about Magnuson Amendment and a few other things, I think that we always looked at the public safety, transportation, health, environment, that kind of stuff which is in county's purview, not that which has been widely circulated, that the county is out there to stop BP from their operations or BP from expanding. I think there was a lot of untrue statements attached to that exercise. It was a cautious exercise to really know what we can do and then do that. If we just go ahead and start taking action without knowing the legal limits or legal rights, I think we would not be fair to our job. And money, we did not know how much it will cost and what it is involved. And I think that the public will know what this study was about, what the recommendations are, or this is more about writing the final report. And whatever we have done, the work in executive sessions been actually asking more pointed questions to that effect, rather than tell somebody, you go and they write a report and we accept it, then what kind of good job did we do? Unless we ask the person that this is what we are, or what we want to know and what we would do. So I totally appreciate that not knowing is a big deal for a lot of stakeholders, including BP themselves. But there has not been, in my mind, any intention to keep this out of the view of the public or not telling them. It is in the best interest of the public that this has been undertaken, and what we are trying to achieve is to know what our limits are. Because one thing we knew, that our powers are not unlimited. Second thing is where that limit lies. I think that is was very justified in my mind to learn and then take appropriate action and share with the rest of the community.
Any other discussion? Ms. Brenner?
Yeah, I don't really know how you meant it, but I cringe when I hear somebody say untrue. You can say that you think what people are saying may not be correct, but true or untrue is kind of implying their motives. And I have no doubt that the people who are not happy with this, I'm one of them, don't have any hidden agenda motive that is like a lie, because untrue is a lie. And I just feel like we need to be careful of the words we use. We agree to disagree on some of these things, but we don't have to make it personal, and that kind of does for me. Maybe I'm just overly sensitive, but it bothers me.
Ms. Brenner, English is my second language, so I may not know the right
Fair
words.
enough. But now you know you won't do it again, because you do it a lot. So now you know.
Okay. Okay, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
That passes 6-1 with Councilmember Brenner opposed.
Mr. Chair, the next item was an ordinance amending the 2017 Whatcom County budget, 12th request in the amount of $1,229,376. This received unanimous approval, and I so move.
Okay, we have that motion. Any discussion? Okay, call the roll, please.
Ken Mann,
Yes.
Satpal Sidhu,
Yes.
Carl Weimer,
Yes.
Barbara Brenner,
Yes.
Red Brown,
Yes.
Barry Buchanan,
Yes,
Todd Donovan,
Yes.
that passes 7-0.
Mr. Chair, the next item is an ordinance amending Ordinance 2014-085, establishment of the Integrated Lands Record and Permit System Fund, and establishing a project-based budget for integrated lands records and permit management system projects to appropriate funding for a new permit system project. This received unanimous approval, and I so move.
Okay, council, we have that motion. Any discussion? Mr. Brown?
For the benefit of the public, this will help move us forward to reduce the processing time for permits out of the county, and also give citizens a lot more visibility as to the standing of any project at any given time.
Thank you for that. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Satpal Sidhu,
Yes.
Carl Weimer,
Yes.
Barbara Brenner,
Yes.
Red Brown,
Yes.
Barry Buchanan.
Yes.
Todd Donovan,
Yes.
Ken Man.
Yes.
That passes 7-0.
Mr. Chair, the next item is a resolution adopting a salary schedule and policies for unrepresented Whatcom County employees effective January 1st, 2018 through December 31st, 2018. This received unanimous approval, and I so move.
Okay, we have that motion. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes 7-0.
Mr. Chair, the next item is a resolution ordering the cancellation of accounts receivable more than 3 years old. This received unanimous approval, and I so move.
Okay, we have that motion. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0.
Now that Gary Stork has got his check, the next item is a resolution ordering the cancellation of checks, warrants more than 1 year old. This received unanimous approval, and I so move.
Okay. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes 7-0.
Mr. Chair, the next item is an ordinance of repealing Ordinance 96-008 Accident Prevention Program. This received unanimous approval, and I so move.
Okay. Discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Carl Weimer,
Yes.
Barbara Brenner,
Yes.
Red Brown,
Yes.
Barry Buchanan,
Yes.
Todd Donovan,
Yes.
Ken Man,
Yes.
Satpal Sidhu.
Yes.
That passes 7-0.
Mr. Chair, there is nothing else from finance.
Okay, we have an item from Special Committee of the Whole. It's a resolution establishing a homeless strategies work group. This afternoon, we discussed this, and we had a recommendation of 6-0. Mr. Mann was out of the room, of recommending that to the full council, and I so move.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion?
Substitute version.
Substitute version is not this color,
Oh, yeah.
it's this one.
We made one
Yeah.
change.
Two. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Next up is executive appointments to boards, commissions, and committees. There's a request for confirmation of the county executive's appointment of David Kinchlow to the Whatcom County Behavioral Health Advisory Committee. I'd entertain a motion for confirmation.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes 6-0 with Councilmember Brown out of the room. Next up is our introduction items. We have just one item.
Yeah,
Resolution approving the sale of an easement. Do we have a motion to introduce?
I'll move introduction.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to introduce. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Next is committee reports, natural resources.
Natural Resources had a report from Mike McFarland of the Parks Department about a new trail that they finished building on the north side of the lake that I think starts right about where the beginning of the Ken Hertz Trail is. One of maybe the most exciting things about it was how many volunteers they had building the trail. That was the only item we had on our agenda.
Okay, thank you. Finance, have anything else?
Mr. Chairman, today we had a presentation from Deputy Executive Tyler Schroeder regarding funding adjustments for the 2017-2018 biennium review. The bad news is we were going to be eating about $7 million above normal expenditure rates into our funding for next year, but the good news is it's only for 1 year. So
Okay, thank you.
predominantly for jail-related issues.
Okay, from Committee of the Whole, we had one item in executive session. It was a discussion with Deputy Prosecutor Christopher Quinn regarding pending litigation involving claims against elected officials acting within their official duties. It's the prosecuting attorney, the county executive, and the sheriff. And it's Whatcom County case number 17-2-01983-2. The council did meet earlier today in executive session concerning a civil lawsuit filed in Whatcom County Superior Court, case number 17-2-01983-2. 01983-2 pursuant to Whatcom County Code, Chapter 2.56 and RCW 4.96.041. The council must find that the actions of each county official named in the suit meets the criteria set out in Whatcom County Code 2.56.030 in order to authorize legal defense by the county for each named official. Therefore, we must vote on whether or not legal defense by the county will be provided based upon the criteria listed in Whatcom County Code 2.56.030. So I would entertain a motion.
Move approval.
Okay, we have a
I'll
motion.
second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. Okay, seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No. That passes 5-2 with Mann and Buchanan opposed. All right, next was Special Committee of the Whole. We had a discussion regarding proposed ordinance amending Whatcom County Code, Chapter 16.16, Critical Areas, and Whatcom County Code, Chapter 23.10, Shoreline Management Program, purpose and intent pertaining to the protection and regulation of environmentally critical areas. We discussed several items today. We put all three of those items on hold for 2 weeks, and we will bring it back in 2 weeks and discuss it. Any other items of business from council members? Okay, none. What about council member updates? Mr. Mann.
So the Incarceration Prevention Introduction Task Force had its final presentation from our consultants, our criminal justice consultants, the Vera Institute. It was a 4-hour or so presentation with great attendance and participation as always. And that report is available online, I'm sure, at the county website. And that report goes to the task force, which is formulating its Phase 3 report, which is essentially our final big due date, our final project that will be due. So that'll be included in those recommendations. And going forward, we'll be working on a lot of the recommendations that the Vera Institute made, because none of them are easy to implement or happen overnight, but they're more systematic tweaks that we can make and policy changes that we can make that will hopefully have an effect, but it's a complicated science. So just, you'll see more from us in the coming weeks on that and in the coming years as well.
Thank you. Mr. Brown?
Nothing for me.
Anything down the line?
I just want to add to that. I was listening to radio today that California Supreme Court is weighed on this cash bails or the system of that. Right. They said it's totally unfair that people with money have a different justice system and people who do not have money. So I think this is awakening up throughout our nation, and it'll be a lot easier to make the tweaks to our system as well.
I already asked you.
Well, I thought you were talking about committees or business stuff. So this is like sort of more personal?
Anything you want.
Okay. 3 of us on the council were at the, let's see, it wasn't the annual, but it was a Farm Bureau presentation with a lot of people. The whole place was packed. And also, we had staff there. And I want to give a big thank you to Mark Personius. He really did an excellent job of explaining to people. And everybody did really well. I mean, I thought it was an excellent presentation. Some people got very emotional, and, I know that council members don't think that what we've been talking about and what we may do is a negative impact, but as someone who has never trusted my government, even now, it's not my job to do that, power does stuff, and it happens, and even if people don't mean to, sometimes staff person might, I didn't say will, might require something just to make sure they don't get in trouble. And I think there's a lot more hoops for people to have to jump through, and that's very scary. And I don't blame, it's scary to a lot of people, and I don't blame them. Next Thursday, this coming Thursday, 2 days, at 7 o'clock at the Rotary Building in Linden. They're going to have, it's their annual Farm Bureau meeting, but they're also going to have a special presentation by an expert on how to do DNA sampling of different fecal coliform to figure out what kind of animals are creating it. And even though this hasn't been made public, I keep hearing about it, that the Lummies worked with the EPA, and they did some kind of study that showed very little, if any, DNA connection with bovine. If I'm wrong, I'd like somebody to tell me that, but if I'm right, I'd sure like a copy of that study. So, there you have it.
Okay, I do have one more thing, and that is, since we passed this homeless strategies work group, we need to have 2 members selected.
All right.
I would like to do it. I've been very close to this since the beginning. I would like to nominate myself.
Second.
And, okay, thank you. And then I'd like someone else would like to do it.
I'm not nominating, I just wanted to say, I think since 3 of you put this together, it should be 2 of the 3 that
I
are
think
on
that's
it.
a good idea.
Yeah.
I'm happy either way, Mr. Dillon.
I'm happy either way.
Want to flip a coin, or
No,
you want to do it?
I'll be happy.
Any
with
two
Mr.
can
I was
show up.
nominated the last thing. we
Any
just
two
did.
can show up, right?
Come on, make up your
Okay,
mind, guys.
So Mr. Brown and Mr. Buchanan are
Yes.
nominated. Any discussion?
Oh,
No.
come on.
And Donovan's our
Oh,
alternate.
Mr. Brown and Mr., okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
But we're gonna have to decide between.
Oh, no.
No, okay.
Okay, so, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Oh, you had your hand up?
I'm fine.
You're fine? Okay. With that, we are adjourned.
Thank you.